There is something weird happening with our generation. We're in our 20s, some of us are pushing 30, and it still doesn't feel like we're adults. And I'm not talking about a I don't want to pay taxes kind of way. I'm talking about a I don't know what the next step is genuinely supposed to be way. And everyone's got an opinion on why. Gen Z is lazy, Gen Z is entitled, Gen Z just needs to work harder. But no one is talking about the disappearance of the milestones people met to grow up.
The reason why Gen Z has such a hard time with growing up is because Gen Z does not have any of the milestones past generations have. You know, even when the millennials were getting f***ed with the 2008 recession, they were still up in the club. They were still partying. Like, somehow things still felt cheaper back then than they were now. It didn't feel like it. That was the case. They were still able to get like $800 apartments and
Let's talk about what growing up used to mean. For boomers and Gen X, it was a pretty clear path. Graduate, get a job, move out, get married, buy a house, have kids. By 25, you were an adult, and by 30, you were established. The timeline was real and everyone followed it. But now in 2026, a record 1 in 3 young adults under 35 is living with their parents. That is 25.2 million people in the US and Canada combined. That's more than during the pandemic. And the crazy part is that most of them have jobs. So it's not that they don't want to move out, it's that they cannot afford to.
Every time I think about or trying to move out my parents' house, the cost of living just get higher and higher. Like, insurance goes up, gas goes up, not to mention the fact that you got to make 3 times the rent of wherever you live at, which is kind of insane. Because the average person my age ain't even making what I'm making. Not to mention the fact that I check my pay stubs all the time. I'm not making as nearly as what I would make if they ain't take all them taxes out of my checks.
It's not that Gen Z doesn't want to grow up. It's that the old milestones require things we can't access. Home ownership for 27-year-olds, about 33% for Gen Z. It was over 40% for boomers at the same age. We're not behind because we're bad at money. We're behind because the math doesn't work anymore. And it's not just housing. Gen Z is on track to marry later than any previous modern generation. We're having kids later. We're hitting every single adult milestone years after our parents did. So before anyone asks the question of why is Gen Z so slow to grow up, I think they should be asking themselves, what are we supposed to grow up into?
I like how everybody keeps saying that Gen Z refuses to grow up when it's like, no, we did. The economy refuses to grow up with us. Everything has literally risen. Rent, inflation, the price of living. But guess what hasn't risen? Minimum wage. The requirements for entry-level jobs has risen. But you know what hasn't risen? Jobs.
Here's the part everyone already kind of knows. The money doesn't work. 67% of Gen Z adults are struggling to cover housing costs. Rent and home prices have outpaced wage growth so badly that in most cities, a full-time salary doesn't get you a 1-bedroom apartment anymore. Forget buying a house. We can't even afford to live alone. Forget housing. Let's go smaller. Groceries. It's almost impossible to afford groceries nowadays while having a reasonable amount of money left over. And this resorts to using buy now pay later services like Affirm and Klarna.
Gen Z can't afford groceries anymore. Yahoo Finance reports that nearly 80% of Gen Z or millennials are using survival spending just to pay for basic needs. This means covering essentials like groceries or bills with debt or payment plans. 77% are using buy now programs like Affirm or Klarna to pay for basic expenses. 71% need a side hustle just to keep up.
And then there's the degree situation. We were told, go to college, get a degree, get a good job. So we did. The average Gen Z student loan borrower owes over $21,000. And what did that degree buy us? Gen Z men with college degrees now have the same unemployment rate as people who never went to college. It's not slightly worse, it's the same. Recent college grads are sitting at 5.7% unemployment compared to 4.2% for the general population. We paid tens of thousands of dollars for a credential and the job market treats it like it's optional. And then we look at our parents' generation and hear, well, when I was your age, I just worked hard and things worked out. Yeah, because when you were our age, a house cost 2 times your annual salary instead of 8 times. A degree did not put you 5 figures in debt, and the entry-level job you applied for actually existed. The financial hurdle isn't just that things are expensive, it's that we followed the exact same playbook and we ended up in a completely different game.
Have you ever realized that social media is low-key the cigarettes of our generation? Because studies have been showing that Gen Z is actually one of the first generations where smoking is at historically low levels, which is like amazing, you know? But then why is like depression and anxiety at all-time highs? It's because we never got rid of the addiction. We just replaced the addiction of cigarettes with social media.
Here's the part no one's really talking about, and it's the thing that makes this video different. The mental side of this is arguably worse than money. People can go outside and that's fine if it did not cost money to be outside nowadays. Almost half of Gen Z, 46%, has been diagnosed with a mental health condition, usually anxiety, depression, or ADHD. Over 80% of us say mental health is a crisis in this country. And it makes sense when you look at what's happening psychologically. Everything you were told would happen if you did the right things, work hard, go to school, get a degree, just didn't happen. This creates something psychologists called helplessness. After enough times of doing what you're supposed to do and getting nowhere, your brain stops trying, not because you're lazy, because it's a survival response. And sure, some might argue to go outside and that's fine, but it costs money to actually enjoy yourself outdoors nowadays, leading many to seek more accessible and affordable forms of coping or entertainment indoors.
People always be like, oh, why you never leave your house? Oh, why are you always inside? Gang, the only thing that leaves when I leave my house is money leaving my pockets. Like, gang, do you not see the economy right now? Do you not see the state of the world? It costs money to step outside. Gang, you leave your house to literally do anything, $100 is guaranteed to get taken out your pocket.
And then you've got choice paralysis. Every career path, every life decision, every possible version of your future is one Google search away, and none of them feel like they'll actually work. When you can see every option and none of them lead anywhere, you freeze. And we're doing all of this while watching other people's highlights on social media. You're sitting in your childhood bedroom at 24, scrolling past someone's vacation photos, someone's new apartment, someone's engagement announcement. The comparison is constant and it makes you feel like you're the only one who didn't figure it out. The financial hurdle is real, but the mental hurdle, that's what's keeping people stuck even when the opportunities come up. Because if you've spent 5 years being told the game is rigged, you stop believing there's a point in playing. So here's the reframe, and I'm not gonna end this on toxic positivity or just grind harder. The old adult milestones were built for an economy that doesn't exist anymore. A single income, a mortgage, a career at one company for 30 years. That world is gone. And Gen Z didn't kill it. It was dying before we got here. Majority of Gen Zs need multiple side hustles on top of their job in order to survive.
Oh no, I can't go. You know, Mondays I do DoorDash and Uber. Monday I do DoorDash that morning, I do Uber that night. Yeah, so I can't go Monday. So Tuesdays, no, because you know, Tuesday I do photography. So I got my whole photography business going on Tuesday, so I ain't gonna be able to come out there with y'all. Not Tuesday. No, you know, Wednesdays, I just put that straight to my podcast. Wednesdays is the only day I dedicate the whole day to my podcast. I shoot like 3 episodes on Wednesdays. I ain't gonna be able to do Wednesday. You can come back, you know, Thursday, this and that.
Problem is that nobody replaced the playbook, so we're all just standing here with an instruction manual for a machine that got discontinued, wondering why nothing works. This isn't about giving up. It's about recognizing that growing up in 2026 is fundamentally different than growing up in 1986. The timeline is different. The economics are different. The expectations have to be different. So the question isn't why isn't Gen Z growing up? The real question is, are we actually behind, or are we the first generation to build adulthood from scratch? And honestly, I think nobody's talking about it because nobody has the answer. But we should at least be having the conversation. If this hit a nerve, drop a comment. And I want to know, do you feel behind, or do you feel like the rules have changed and no one told us? Like and subscribe if you want more. I got more coming.